Hello, I'm Pastor Keith Mozingo of Metropolitan Community Church of Baton Rouge. I want to thank you for clicking on the video of our worship message. Please go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/MCCBR to see the entire worship service, including prayers, special music, and communion. You're also welcome to join us every Sunday morning at 11 a.m. for worship service. Stay tuned after the message for information on how you can stay in touch with us.
I know it seems like trouble comes when you...
Well, if you notice, the name of the title is title of the sermon is A Good Shepherd, the Good Shepherd. And I think Zell did a really good job of telling all of us what shepherds are all about. And listening to the children who have pets know that we have to shepherd our pets. And we have to shepherd our friends sometimes. Anybody seen the Golden Girls? That show. Who's the good shepherd in there? Dorothy, right? Because Dorothy is the one that looks after all of them, right? There's always the Dorothy in your group of friends, right? There's the good shepherd in all of our groups of friends, and probably in our families. There's a good shepherd, one that just kind of watches out for everybody, one that everybody goes to when they need something, whether it be advice, whether it be something to eat, whether it be some money. Yeah, we know those, right? But sometimes it's very, very, very legitimate because people have needs. And we all know the stable one for us in our lives. Amen? So I was looking up and doing some research this week on the shepherd, the good shepherd. And the definition of a shepherd is a person who herds or tends or guards sheep. That's pretty simple. We all kind of know that. Even if we don't know, well, let me ask you, does any of you know any sheep herders personally? One, two. Two of the kids know sheep herders personally. Their parents don't know it, but they know something. They want to check on them when they're out playing by themselves. Another definition of a sheep herder is a person who protects, who guides, or watches over a person, or a group of people, or a group of animals. A herd, exactly. Oh, it's in the name. Shepherd, right? Now, there's some famous biblical shepherds that you may or may not have I've lost my ability to move. This is great with technology. There's some famous biblical shepherds. One was Abraham. Abraham, who is known as the father of all nations, started out, before he was the father of all nations, started out in his younger years as a shepherd. Jacob, his grandson, notice it kind of falls down in the family. People follow suit. Then there was Moses. Remember Moses? He's the one that delivered all of the people of Israel from bondage. Remember King David? King David was a shepherd. He's probably the most famous one in our scriptures, the one that we all kind of know as the little shepherd boy, who fought the big giant in his life and won. And of course, in the New Testament, we know that it was the shepherds that the angels appeared to announce the birth of Jesus. Shepherds have played an important role throughout the scriptures. Here we go. I want you to put on your spiritual ears now. Think of this not just in the physical world, but in the spiritual world. Can you do that with me? To talk about what a shepherd does and maybe what Jesus does for all of us. Usually, the role of the shepherd falls to the youngest son in the family. It could, by the way, fall to the daughter. It's not just males, but those are most of the records we have, and most of the shepherds have been males. But it can be the female too. But it usually falls to the youngest son. Now, when the son is old enough to work on the farm or work some other place to help support the family, a lot of times, then that role falls to the next younger sibling. And so forth, it just keeps passing down through the family. Some roles of the shepherd include this. When the shepherd needs to bring the herd across a stream or a river or some body of water, the shepherd goes first and shows them by his example that he is willing to tread the waters, even if it's a stream that's moving and that there may be some danger there, but he walks so he can show them the path. Are you got your spiritual ears on now? Okay, stay with me with your spiritual ears on. He walks across first. It could be dangerous, it could be treacherous, but he still goes and takes the first steps. And then the ones closest to him, I'm not talking about physically close, I'm talking about the ones who have his heart, the ones that'll pray with him, right? Like Spring does with Zell. The sheep that'll pray with him, those will start following because they know he won't lead them astray. He won't lead them wrong, so they follow in. And then those that are kind of following in the herd from a distance, you know those people, right, that follow Jesus. They follow Jesus, they just follow from a distance. Or maybe they're just not as close in one-on-one relationship, but they still know who Jesus is, right? They know who Jesus is, and they're here. And they may be just a little afraid to go across the river, to go across the moving stream. But eventually, because everybody else starts going that way, they decide they'll follow. And then there are those that are so stubborn that won't go in by themselves. They have to be prompted from the back end, and it's usually by sheepdogs. So you better watch out if you're being hounded by a sheepdog. Maybe you need to move a little closer to the good shepherd. How about that? Also noted that when the mothers of the little lambs, sometimes they're a little bit afraid because they are shepherding their baby, right? And the stream could take the baby downstream. It could be too strong. But never fear, once that happens, if one of the lambs gets caught in the stream and goes downstream, the shepherd will go down and catch it and always retrieve it and bring it back to the fold. And I loved this part of the research that I was doing. It said that the sheep really, sheep get a bad rap, right, for being stupid. I never really liked that because I don't think all sheep are stupid. It seems pretty silly to say that to some degree. I may have thought that at one time myself, but then we're saying if we're the sheep, then we're pretty stupid. I don't think we're pretty stupid. The sheep know that the shepherd has saved the little one. And it said that they gather around. They are so excited that the little lamb has been spared, has been saved. And doesn't that speak to who we are?
Yes.
Aren't we glad when someone else has come into our fold? Someone has come into our community of faith and into this larger community of faith in their spirituality. It said they appear to rejoice. I just love the way that author put that. They just appear to rejoice that the little one has been saved. How about straying sheep? Often a sheep may become bewildered and wander off. They may get left behind because they're not paying attention. Got your spiritual ears on? Some of us have done that. I've done that. I've strayed off every now and then, here, there, and everywhere. And it said they become bewildered and lost. Well, I've done that a few times. But it says they must be brought back. And if they continue, now I have not yet figured this out, if this is actually true. So don't quote me on it. And it has sort of a bad thing connotation and a good connotation. So if I think about it in my spirit, I like it. If I think about it in the physical, I don't like it at all. But there are stories out there that say that if one of the sheep habitually wanders off, just keeps going off, just keeps going astray, just keeps going off, the shepherd always has to bring it back. And if the shepherd really gets tired of that, at some point the shepherd may break the leg of the little sheep. You know why? Because then the shepherd has to carry it on his shoulders everywhere he goes until the sheep heals back up. And usually by that time, they have developed a close relationship, and the sheep never wanders off again. Now, I don't like the physical part of that, and I hope that it's not true. But in a spiritual sense, I want to tell you that my leg has been broken a few times. My leg has been broken more than once when I've wandered off. And God has spiritually broken my spiritual leg and held me close when I could not know how to hold close myself. And we developed such a tight-knit, intimate relationship in that time that by the time I was healed, I knew how to stay close. Sometimes sheep get scattered. Even as a group, they get scattered. They just kind of go off in all these different places. Well, here's what the shepherd does when he wants to get them back. He sees in all the directions they're scattered, he goes out and stands in the middle. And he gives a call that only his particular sheep recognize. He may even use a slingshot. We know that from the little David story, don't we? He may even use a slingshot and sling out pebbles, not big rocks or boulders, but pebbles not to hit the sheep, but over in their direction to get their attention. And when he gets their attention, he gives out that call, and they all come back. He won't start leading them all back to the fold until every single one of them is accounted for. Good shepherd sent any pebbles your way lately? Tried to get your attention? Tried to get my attention lately? Oh yeah, that's happened a few times. He knows his sheep. Every shepherd knows his sheep intimately. He may give them pet names. He knows what this one has done. He knows their personalities. All you parents that have had multiple children, every child have exactly the same personality? No. Those of us that are parents of fur babies and have had multiple fur babies, do any of our fur babies even have close to the same personality? No. We know them intimately. We get to learn their personality. When I adopted this last fur baby, the lady at the shelter said, I want somebody to finally adopt him. He's been adopted several times and brought back. And yes, I still adopted him anyway. She said, I want somebody that will not just take him and try to make him into something that he isn't. Amen. But will learn his personality. Yes. Will accept him the way he is. You know that spoke to me. Right? That spoke to Keith. Really good right there. I was like, she got me hooked. She had that shepherd hook out there. She reeled me right in. I need someone that will take me in and learn me who I am and who this personality is. God's not all about changing. Yes, some things change, and sometimes we change, hopefully for the better. That's what I think we spend the whole life doing, is trying to change ourselves for the better, but we still have basic instincts and basic callings and basic personalities that shine through, and they're meant to shine through. And the sheep will not try to change them. He may try to change some of their behaviors, but he doesn't try to change their personalities. He learns to love those personalities and how they work together to create the fold. Did you know that the shepherd will count off the sheep every night when he brings them into the fold? Make sure that not one of them is lost. He will shepherd them in. And I love this. There were some examples of some that have given up counting. They've given up counting because they've gotten so intimate with their flock that they sense when one of them is not there. Oh my goodness. Think on that. Got your spiritual ears on. The Good Shepherd with us. The Good Shepherd can sense. I don't think the Good Shepherd even has to count us anymore. The Good Shepherd already senses when one of us is scattered or astray or lost or bewildered or has wandered off somewhere on our own. Can sense a loss in us. Never lasts for long, though. He always goes to find them. Always goes to find them. Did you know that the shepherd leads the sheep? And I told you that when he goes across the stream, he goes in front. But did you know that most of the time, the shepherd leads the flock from somewhere else besides the front? The shepherd sometimes leads from behind. The shepherd most of the time leads from the side, walking beside the sheep. I love that. I love this pastoral imagery. Day to day for a shepherd can get pretty monotonous, don't you think? They live a very solitary life. They're away from the farm. They're away from the family. They don't have a whole lot of social life. I even know one minister, an MCC minister, that used to pastor one of our churches up in Canada. And he got so overwhelmed with life at some point that he went and found a place that had sheep and asked the folks if he could learn how to be a shepherd. And he lived his life very solitary for a couple of years with the sheep so that he could pull his life back together, so he could get in an intimate relationship and he could learn about the flocks and learn what life was from the sheep. Think about Jesus doing that with us, that sometimes Jesus doesn't lead us from the front. That's where we like to see Jesus, isn't it? We want to see where we're going. We want to see all of the future. We want to be able to look forward and know exactly what's happening, but sometimes Jesus is leading from behind. Supporting, chewing us up. But most of the time, Jesus is really just simply walking beside us. Amen. There was one other thing that I thought was really sweet. Sometimes, because they do live such a solitary life, and they're out there alone a lot of the time, yes, sometimes they'll bring their herds together so they can have some social time with other shepherds. But if they haven't gotten that far yet, sometimes they will play with the sheep. As in event games, as in play like hide and seek. I thought this was quite amusing. The shepherd is so bored that he creates a fun time, a fun game with the sheep. So sometimes he'll run off and hide from them, run off somewhere where they can't see him, never too far away, but where they can't see him. And then when they kind of start noticing, they may wander around for hours, and then all of a sudden they're like, well, where's the shepherd? Where did he go? And then they all start kind of wandering around looking for him. And then he may jump out at the last minute after he's noticed them wandering around looking for him and present himself back to them, because he wanted to see how long they would look. And it made me wonder about those times in my own life when I can't sense where Jesus is. It's like he's wandered away. I know we're in this long-term, intimate relationship, but it's like he's wandered away from me somewhere. He's gone and I can't find him. And I may have just been wandering around, coasting along in life, and then all of a sudden I wake up and think, well, where is Jesus? I don't feel anything. You know, we Pentecostals like to feel Spirit. We want to feel the Spirit, right? Where is this? I haven't felt the Spirit in a while. And even though I'm calling out, I'm not hearing anything. Sometimes, while I don't think Jesus counts it as a game per se, I am so overwhelmed a lot of times when Jesus shows back up and I realize that he really wasn't lost. He really hadn't left me. He was really just out of my sight. Just a little out of my sight. Just a little around the corner. I just had to go look a little farther. Or I just had to wait a minute for him to present himself to me again. Jesus says, I am the good shepherd. Not just in a skilled way of shepherds, but because he truly cares for us. And I love that in that scripture he says, I have sheep in other folds. Thank God for MCC being another fold. Amen. We can look at that as different denominations. We can even go up a layer and look at it as different religions. We can even go up and look at it again higher than that, where there are no boundaries. We're all God's creation. We're all God's sheep. And God says, well, have some over here, and have some over here, and have some over here. At some point, he says, I'm going to bring them all together. Amen. Put all the folds together. They'll have one shepherd to lead them all. Now, I love this. I told you a while ago that sometimes, because it's such a solitary life, that the sheep will sometimes be brought out and herded together. They may start mixing all in with all these other sheep from other folds, so that the shepherds can go over and have some social time together and watch their flocks out on the horizon. But when it's time for them to be back with their shepherd, each shepherd goes out and calls their sheep. And they have a specific call for their flock. And their flock, according to the scriptures, the sheep know my voice, Jesus said. Amen. Jesus said, they know my voice, and another one they won't follow. So the other shepherds can give out their calls. The wolves can give out their howls, but the sheep hear Jesus' voice. Amen. They hear the voice of the good shepherd, and another one they won't follow. We won't have to follow another voice. We don't have to hear. You know, there are lots of voices out there. Y'all know that, right? Lots of voices out there. But we know the good shepherd. We know for ourselves because we have that intimate relationship with this Jesus. The good news is that one day we'll be in mix with all the flocks with that one good shepherd. There are many images in the scriptures of Jesus. He's our Savior. He's the one that died for us. He's a teacher. He's a disciple maker. He's a reader of scriptures in the church, in the temple. He's even a table turner over on occasion. But in our reading today, we have this wonderful pastoral image of Jesus as the good shepherd, capital G, capital S. We mentioned little David Little David was the youngest of his brothers and sisters. But he was the one that was the shepherd. And later became the king. Later became the king and was a writer who left his words behind. So I want to leave this image of Jesus with you, as David said, and let it be our prayer. The Lord is my shepherd. We don't have to live in want. He will anoint our heads with oil, and our spiritual cups will run over. He will lead us beside still waters. He will restore our souls every single time. When we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, we don't have to fear any evil. Amen. Because the good shepherd is with us. Amen. He has a rod and a staff when we get scattered to just pull us right back. With the shepherd, surely goodness and mercy will follow all of us. All of us. All the days of our lives. And we will dwell in the house of the Lord. The good shepherd forever.
Again, thank you for watching our worship message video on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to get notified of other video posts. You can also watch our worship service in its entirety by going to facebook.com/MCCBR. You can watch us live on Facebook at 11 a.m. Central every Sunday. Visit our webpage at mccbr.org, where you can find our calendar of events, as well as other information about our church and our denomination. Like our Facebook page so you can be notified of our other live events. Thank you again, and may you have a blessed week.
Whether here and now or another time, not even height or depth, whether strong or weak, in the face of the future or the powers that be, you are not separated.